I did not appreciate my mother. 13, she was in my way. All that I really wanted was to be popular, and she absolutely did not understand. I wanted to wear a push-up bra, a thong, and clothes snug enough to give you a yeast infection. I wanted the boys to notice me. More importantly, I wanted the girls to notice the boys noticing me. Funny how that works, isn't it? When Christmas came around, I asked for a sewing machine. How endearing and domestic, my mother must have thought. It was December 25th, and under that tree was my top-of-the-line Bernina. She was a beaut. It took less than a week for me to get started on my new wardrobe. That's right, all of those back-to-school shirts Mom had bought for me over the break were about to go through a transformation. And so was I. I was ahead of the game as far as blossoming goes. I had boobs, good ones. I thought it was time everyone knew that. I almost made it to spring break before my mother realized. It was not, in fact, the darn dryer that was shrinking my clothes, but was me and my top-of-the-line Bernina. My new wardrobe consisted of the deepest of V-necks and snuggest of slim-fit tees. Oh, the boys noticed. The girls noticed the boys noticing. And my mother noticed she was in for a treat of a teenager to raise. Now, everyone says being a new mom is a challenge. Moms with freshly popped out babies get thrown up on, screamed at, and sob snotted on. Sob snotting is what I call the fluids that come out of your face when you're completely and ridiculously upset. What my mom didn't realize is that she would have to endure this phase of my life more than once. Puking, screaming, and sob snotting were all too familiar to my teenage years. If you think it's tough to put up with a newborn, try it with a menstrual mad woman who's 15 years old and freakishly taller than you. When I was 2, I would run from my mother in the grocery store looking for women in long skirts, with every intention of throwing their skirts up, revealing to all of Homeland their Victoria's Secret merchandise. This, too, was a custom to my teen years. Except it was my skirt being thrown up and my Victoria's Secret merchandise being revealed. And instead of in the local grocer, it was in the Burger King parking lot, which just so happened to be the cool kid hangout of my small town. I'm going to spare you all the gory, hoary details of the rest of my teenage years. They go along like most women's tormented youth. Too many boys and bad decisions to count. Too many friends lost, too many gained. Pointless, painful tears cried. And all along the way, each moment, both dreadful and overjoyed, were ended with a hug from my mother. A mother who could never understand, or so I thought. The older I got, the less frequent the screaming became, the bigger the problems became, and the closer my mother and I became. I remember the exact moment we crossed that threshold, the line that was drawn between mother and teenage daughter. I had so many secrets from those lost years, or so I like to call them. I couldn't forgive myself for them. I had flourished right on out of those horrible mistakes and bad decision-making skills, but I still had the memories and the guilt. My mother saw right through me. She was visiting me in college my sophomore year, 19. Somehow, as mothers do, she recognized that I was hurting from secrets I didn't want to hide but was too afraid to share. She put me in the car, drove me to the nearest convenience store, put the car in park, and went inside. My mother, the conservative, God-fearing, rule-following woman, came out with 2 tall boy Bud Lights. I was surprised, to say the least. She cracked open the beer and sat it in front of me. Now spill it. I thought, what the hell? What do I have to lose? And in that moment, I let her in. I did. I unleashed. I revealed my broken heart, broken both from my actions and those of others. I had beaten myself down so far and had become so ashamed that I thought there was no chance of recovery. Nonetheless, I poured out my stories to her with unprecedented amounts of sob-snotting. Finally, she knew what I came from. She knew who I'd been hiding, and she knew me. In that moment, everything changed. We were no longer mom and teenage daughter. Instead, it was two women. We were two women connected by the strongest bond possible, that of a mother and daughter. I had bared my soul and my secrets. In that moment, she was more than my mother. She was my friend, and she loved me. And as I assume she probably always had, she most definitely understood.